I'm Michelle. Welcome to Wildish Living, where we talk about decor, vintage, handmade, and creating a space that you love. I thought it'd be fun to take a little tour of my home and show you how I incorporate vintage and thrifted items into my space with things that I've collected over the years. So because I'm in a brand new townhouse that I'm currently renting, I can't do much apart from just decorating. So it was really important to be able to show all the things that I've collected over the years and really bring that personality and warmth into the space so that it was a place that I really liked being in. I just want to take you on a quick tour of my living room, my kitchen, and my office / workspace studio. So please forgive the quality of the audio video of the tour portion of this video. I did shoot it with my iPhone, and as I am brand new to this whole YouTube thing, I'm learning how to produce better videos as I go. So I promise I'm going to work on the quality of that, and down the road I will try to get better, steadier, less jiggly footage of video that I shoot for you guys. So please enjoy. Okay, so I thought I would just take you on a little quick tour of my living room, and I can show you a little bit about how I use vintage stuff in my house. So to start off, I'm in a rental townhouse currently, so it's tiny, it's kind of small. I don't have a lot of room for all of my stuff. A lot of it's still packed away, but I can show you what I am using currently. So what you'll notice here the most is my two mid-century teak chairs that were passed down from my grandmother. And I just had the cushions recovered because they were in a 60s, late 60s, early 70s, like brown and orange fabric. So I had those recovered and they look amazing now and I love them. They're my favorite. The sideboard or credenza, what I'm using for my TV stand, is just from Structube. It's new, but I love that it has the wood on the bottom and the wood touches on it so that it kind of looks really nice mixed with my vintage chairs. I have a lot of thrifted as well as vintage combined with new things. So I'll just give you a little quick peek of what that is. So the plant stand is actually, it's probably at least 20 years old, so it'd be considered vintage, but it's not that old. It was my mother's, and that works out really well. And then when we get a little closer, you can see, so the owl I actually thrifted from a secondhand store. I love him, and my snake plant is very happy in it. And then the little brass planter is vintage, and that was also thrifted. The little handmade pottery planter, I actually thrifted that as well. That's where I get most of my vintage pottery, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite things is vintage pottery. The giraffe was, I believe, a sample from when I worked in product development for a big company. I think that was one of the samples we got, which I loved him. He's just so cute. And then on this side, the little pot I actually thrifted as well. It's also handmade. I just love like the texture of the color and the design on it, and it was handmade by somebody. And my yoga lady just keeps me calm and grounded. Okay, so here's my bookshelf, which houses most of the things in my living room, seeing how I don't have a lot of space to put anything. On the top shelf in the middle, we have my Mexican tonala vase, which I absolutely love the handmade look of those Mexican pottery. The horse is new, but I love horses, so I couldn't resist. The crow is a really heavy wrought iron. I actually don't remember where I got him, but I love him as well. And this little owl guy is vintage from probably the 70s. I don't remember the name of the company that makes them, but they're super cute, and I kept him. The glass jar, it was just a thrifted find, and I popped a little plant in there. The next shelf, we have my fun turtledine in a little pot. The little bear is like Canadian hand-carved soapstone, which I actually picked up at a garage sale, and I just loved him so much. He's super cute. My stack of books with my little wrought iron rabbit. I actually think I thrifted that one, but I'm not sure where I got him. He's super cute. And then over here I have a couple of things. The little vase with the rabbit on it is actually one I bought from a handmade local artist from her shop. I can't remember her name right now, but it's super cute. The purple vase is also a handmade piece, but I thrifted that as well. And then this little, over here, this other little vase has a slight tint of pink glaze underneath it. I absolutely love it. I also got that at the at the thrift store. And I love putting tulips and things like that in it in the spring. It just is super cute and a nice shape. Then moving down, if I can get lower here, this bowl I also thrifted. It has such a beautiful texture and patina and color on it. It's a handmade pottery piece. These two little piggy guys, I just love them so much. I'm never gonna part with them. There's just something about them. I think they're made of some kind of teak or rosewood. It doesn't seem to be focusing that great on them, but they're just like a mama and a baby, and they're the cutest thing. So I'm keeping those. This beautiful box was passed down from my grandmother as well. It's actually a vintage Dutch coffee box. So you would have locked it up, locked your coffee up in it back in the days when coffee was worth more than gold. And then I have this little mother of pearl little trinket box, which I love, and I think it just looks great together. And then over here was just actually a thrifted frame that I got, and I just liked the shape of it and the color of the frame, and it was just really cute. So, and then the little Eiffel Tower my sister brought me back from Paris, and then the two little Delft pieces were also from my grandmother, who was Dutch, if you can't tell right now. So I have a lot of like pretty Dutch vintage pieces that I use. And then when we go down here, we'll see my vintage Tonala horse, which is another Mexican pottery piece. And this is a Ken Edwards, and I love it because I love horses and Mexican pottery. So it just turned out really well when I found it. And then the little vase is a handmade piece as well. And then on my stack of books, I just have a ram, which I bought when I staged my last house, but I kept it because my son is a Capricorn, so it reminds me of him. And then last but not least, oh, Penny's helping. She's looking for her toys, which are right there in the basket. Last but not least, there goes her ball. Last but not least, Penny, you're not helping. And then last but not least, there's Leo on the bottom. I have a thing for carved lions. I'm not sure why, but I've had this guy for a long time, and I love him so much, and I'll never get rid of him. Okay, so here is the sofa side of my living room. Again, it's this tiny little place. Everything's kind of crammed in. There's Penny. She is hanging out with us today. So the coffee table is actually something I love. I haven't gotten rid of it because it worked out so well. It's actually a lac coffee table from IKEA, which are like 25 bucks. And then I had this piece of marble that I was given for free actually. And it's just a beautiful shape. It's held up really well. I just love the shape and color of it. So I have no need to change it right now. But if you want an inexpensive luxury look for less, then here's something I recommend, is going to your local granite store and seeing if they have a piece of stone left over that they're willing to just buff off for you in the size that you need, because they usually have a lot of end cuts they can't do anything with. So they might sell it to you or even give it to you. And then you pop it on a little inexpensive table, and for 25 bucks, I have this beautiful coffee table, which I absolutely love. So on here I have another vintage box that I use, and I just have my remotes in there. I have like a hand cream and a lip gloss. This tray is a vintage pottery piece, which I absolutely love, and it's just got my crystal, a candle, and another little handmade pottery piece from a local artist. And then over here, I just have another plant. I have so many plants now, but there's another plant. And then my little vintage teak coasters, which I use so I don't get my marble wrecked. And then here's a fun way of displaying art. A lot of these are vintage pieces, which I just downloaded from Etsy. I bought the digital download and had them printed out, and then I bought all the IKEA frames in different colors. Sorry for the glare of the outside. And then I just popped them in. The only one that wasn't a vintage print was the pot with the olive branches in, and that was actually a piece I got at HomeSense, but it was in a different frame, and I just took it out and popped it in there so that it would work. And I just think it's a nice collection. I just love curating art gallery walls. I just think it's a really fun thing to do, and you can see that there's all kinds of different art mixed together, but it really works. And I love it. So that's my gallery wall. Okay, I wanted to show you a couple of the vintage things I use in my kitchen. So we'll just start over here where by my coffee machine, I like to use this little pottery bowl to keep my Keurig reusable pods in. I don't like to buy the ones that you have to throw out, so I use a little reusable one. So I just use that little bowl to keep them in. And then I have this little cute little silver cup, which is vintage, actually has an M carved into it. So I thought, well, that's my initial, I should get it. So I keep my little coffee spoons in there, and I really love that. That little Bodum I actually picked up at a vintage store. No need to pay full price if you don't have to. And then this beautiful carved pedestal bowl. I don't know how old it is. It's probably maybe from the 70s or 80s. It's not that old, but I just loved the color of the wood and the way that the shape of it and the way that it was made. So I love having it here on my counter to keep all my fruits and veggies on that need to be kept out. And the pepper mill I actually bought from a vintage store. It was pretty much brand new. I don't know why someone got rid of it, but I love the color of it. And then my little measuring cups, which I use every day, so I keep those out. And then this is my little salt cellar. So the top just screws off. Here, I'll show you. Just screws off, and my salt's inside there. I love that. And then my little owl toothpick holder. You guys might have seen these. They were all over the place, probably in the, I don't know, maybe it's 70s, I would say. He's just a little cutie, so I keep my toothpicks in there. And then over here, yes, it's not usually this clean, but I cleaned it up for you guys. And I'm showing my beautiful, my handmade pottery mug, which is my favorite mug. I drink my coffee in every day. But behind that, I have my vintage pottery. It's probably more of a wine chiller. It's a handmade pottery piece, but I love to keep my utensils in it. And then the cutting board beside it, there's another cutting board. I just broke my favorite vintage cutting board. I had two leaned against the wall, and that's gone. So now I just have those two, but I always will have my eye out for a few more. The one on the counter I always leave there, and I just cut everything on there and wipe it off as I go. And I just love to have that. It's just a great piece to have. That is a bread box that I bought. I believe it's Scandinavian of some kind, and I also thrifted that as well, but great place to wrangle all your bread pieces. And then a couple other things. I have this beautiful pink glass hand-blown pitcher, which I picked up at a secondhand store and is one of my absolute favorite pieces. It just has such a beautiful color and shape to it, and I love to put flowers in it. So whenever I get a big bunch of flowers, they're usually sitting in that. And then I also thrifted this little cute little hand-painted piece. It might be maybe from Portugal or Italy or something, but pop my little plant in there, and that's how I use that. So just a few things that you can use some vintage pieces for in your kitchen. Hope I gave you a few ideas for that. Okay, we'll do a quick tour of my office slash studio slash workspace. This is actually supposed to be the dining room of my townhouse, but I don't need a dining room, but I needed an office and somewhere to put all this stuff. So that's what it is. I no longer have a dining room table. But anyways, there's my work table and my desk in front of the window, but my favorite thing is my big teak mid-century bookshelf that my grandmother has given me. She's passed now, but this was in her house for many years, and she bought it in the late 60s, early 70s. Penny's having a nap today. That's where she sleeps while I'm working. As you can see, I love my plants as well, but this is where I keep all my treasures, which I call all my things. People call it stuff, but I call it treasures. It's just stuff that makes me happy and that I love to look at. So this is pretty much the only place in my townhouse right now where this stuff can live, because I don't have a lot of other areas to display my things. So it might look a little full, but that's how it's gonna be. I'm definitely not a minimalist when it comes to this bookshelf. Although I do like things clean and airy, this is where all my pretty things live. So I'll give you a little close-up tour. This pothos plant I have, as you can see, it's really long. It goes all the way to the floor there. And then that one branch goes, or vine goes all the way across and down the floor. You can see, but I've literally had it for about almost 20 years. That's how old it's moved to so many places with me, and I can't bear to cut those vines off. So it's my little jungle. Anyways, we'll start over here. I have a lot of books, so you can just see some of my stuff in here. I'm not going to go through everything. Oh, that little monkey was something that I used to play with as a child at my grandmother's house. I think it's a Danish company, so that is vintage. It's not focusing. I think it, I'll never part with him because he's super cute and gives me good memories of when I was a child playing at my grandmother's. So you can see just a few of my things. There's just some photos. It's a mixture of vintage and new, and just stuff, mostly thrifted things. And then over here, that windmill picture my grandmother painted when she, or drew, I guess it's like an ink, when she was in her teens. So I would say back in, or maybe the early 30s, she might have painted that. And then that vase was my, I think, great grandmother's. It was my grandmother's, I believe. So that's an old one that's been passed down in the family as well. And there's just a collection here, some vintage, some new. I love that little planter, a pot with the little eyes on it, super cute, with my crystals. Owls, you can see I like owls as well. There's a few owls in my house. Another little owl in there, more horses. An antler, excuse me, that I picked up when I was, I believe, in the Eastern Townships in Quebec one time, many years ago, and someone was selling a bunch of them. And I only like it because it didn't come off of a dead animal, it came off of a live animal. They're naturally shed, so that's the only reason why I have it. More pieces of pottery. You can see that I love my pieces of pottery. Some photos, my incense. And then what do we have here? Just another collection of random miscellaneous, some old, some new. You can see the vintage pots. This little horse, I just can't, he's just so cute. I couldn't resist him. It's like a handmade kind of folk art piece. I wouldn't doubt it might be from the turn of the century, of the 1900s. It's really old and handmade, and I just love it. It's just a cute little thing. My wooden shoes I wore when I was a kid. I didn't actually wear them, I played with them, but those were mine when I was a kid. And then just some more things. My Buddha. Here's my desk where I work. All my collection of stuff. My little vintage, again, there's a little, it's hard to see in this light. This little pot I like to put my pens and stuff in. The other ones aren't as vintage, but I just have a little collection of odds and ends. That's stuff I love. So I hope you enjoyed that little tour of my bookshelves. Oh yeah, my horse head, which is one of my favorite things in the world. Vintage print of, I think it's Trafalgar Square in England. All my feathers. A little picture I painted. And that's a Robert Bateman print I got when I was a teenager. I ended up painting the frame because it was pink. I got it back when Dusty Rose was in style, so I don't want the Dusty Rose so much anymore. Eventually I'd like to reframe it in a nice modern, like a black frame or something. That would be nice. And then I need to frame that feather print as well. And then my little birdie guy, he's cute. Anyways, that's my bookshelf. I hope you enjoyed it. All right, well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the little tour of my home and how I incorporate vintage into my space. I hope it inspired you to bring a little vintage into your home decor as well. And if you got any value out of today's video, I would really love it if you gave it a like and subscribe to my channel. It'll help me bring more videos to you down the road. It would also be great if you wanted to leave a comment and you want to let us know what's your favorite vintage item that you've incorporated into your space. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Wildish Living.